It's the appointed time. We have a quorum. I call to order the meeting of the panel on financial affairs. Welcome, everyone. The first agenda item is information papers issued since the last meeting. We have not received any information on that so far. 2 items for discussion at the next meeting. Members, the Deputy Chairman and I met with the Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury on 11th of February to discuss the work plan for the panel in this session. The list of outstanding items for discussion has consolidated the views of the administration and members, the topics to be discussed. Members, please note the proposed handling proposed by the administration and the priorities determined. Please see the specific notes. If members have no other comments, the panel will proceed with the work of the panel in this session in accordance with the list. The regular meeting of April is set to be held at 2:30 p.m. on 10th of April, of Friday. The administration proposes to discuss the following issues. 1. Proposals to enhance regulation of licensed money lenders. 2. Legislative proposal relating to enabling stamp duty arising from renminbi counter stock transactions to be paid in renminbi. 3. Review of financial arrangements of the 36 funds outside government's accounts. And 4. Legislative proposals relating to the risk-based capital regime in the insurance sector, the third pillar specifically, and reducing the investment capital requirements for infrastructural investment. Do members have any objections? Let's move on. Agenda item number 3, enhancements to preferential tax regimes for funds, family-owned investment holding vehicles, and carried interest. I can see that representatives of the administration have already come inside the conference room. Let me welcome representatives from the FSTB, Inland Revenue Department, and the Hong Kong MA. I will first ask Mr. Christopher Hui, the Secretary, to give a presentation. Due to time constraints, please be brief. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Hong Kong is an international asset and wealth management center. We have all along adopted a multi-pronged approach to enhance our competitiveness as an asset management center. We have established for the arrangements of open-ended fund companies. We have now over 680 OFCs in Hong Kong. After introducing the arrangements for limited liability partnerships, we have close to 1,500 of funds making use of the arrangements. We have now a diversified fund structure. We have also introduced a new capital investment entrance scheme. We have Invest Hong Kong providing one-stop support services for our new capital entrance and companies. Please turn off mobile phones, members. So we now have a very favorable tax environment. Our different policies have seen good results. As at the end of 2024, we have managed asset monetary management over $35 trillion. It is a 30% increase year on year. We also rank first in the Global Financial Centers Index under investment management. In the next 1 or 2 years, we will become the largest global cross-boundary wealth management center. And according to a recent survey as at the end of last year, we have over 3,380 family offices. In 2 years, that is a 25% increase. As funds and family offices consider tax policy to be one of the major factors for their relocation of offices. So we have been trying to create a favorable tax environment so that more are willing to come to Hong Kong. We have in 2019, 2021, and 2023 amended the Inland Revenue Ordinance to introduce 3 sets of preferential tax regimes. These concessions are very much welcomed by the sector. We will try to keep in close view of the situation to make sure we have an attractive and competitive tax regime. There are some specifics I would like to share with members on our legislative proposals. We want to expand the definition of funds to cover pension funds, endowment funds, as well as funds of one, to attract more single investors, individual investors. We also expanded the definition of qualifying investments to cover, for example, insurance-linked securities, emission derivatives, emission allowance and carbon credits, immovable property, equity interests in non-corporate private entities, loans, digital assets, precious metals, and specified commodities. So for the government, we already have existing policy in promoting carbon trading and the trading of precious metals and commodities. These will complement with our current proposals. We are also trying to lower the threshold for profits eligible for profits tax exemption so that when specified criteria are met, they will entitled to profits tax exemption. We will also relax the restrictions for treatment of SPEs before we have a tax exemption equal to the percentage of the fund's ownership in the SPE. In future, we will have full tax exemption regardless of the extent of the fund's ownership, but it is subject to the same anti-round-tripping provisions. We are relaxing the anti-round-tripping provisions under unified tax exemption regime for funds, so that we will adjust the scope of the full tax to equity investment or interest in private companies and non-corporate private entities. We will also be relaxing some tax reporting and substantial activities requirement. For the UFR in particular, we will have specific requirements in tax reporting and substantial activities so that we will have, for the total amount of annual operating expenditure threshold set to be not less than $2 million and some requirements for average number of qualified employees. We believe we have struck a balance between effective regulation and transparency. We will consider the sector's feedback. We have considered the sector's feedback. We believe the enhancement measures will help attract more funds and family offices to Hong Kong to create more business opportunities in asset and wealth management, consolidating our status in this area. It will also attract more private credit investment activities and boost development of Hong Kong in other areas such as trading in precious metals and commodities. As said in the 2025 policy address, in the first half of 2026 this year, we will be submitting the relevant amendment proposals. If they are passed, the relevant measures will come into effect for the year of assessment of 2025 to 26. We welcome members' comments, and we're more than willing to answer their questions. Thank you, Chair. All right, I will assign a 4-minute time limit. Questions and answers included. Let me read out the order in which members are going to speak. Mr. Adrian Ho, Mr. Chen Chunying, Dr. Johnny Dr. Webster Professor Michael I, Ms. Kamen Khan, Mr. Alan Chen, and Mr. Hong Kam-in. Mr. Adrian Ho, you're the first to speak. Thank you. Chair. Thank you, Secretary, for giving a presentation. I very much support the proposals to enhance preferential tax regimes for funds. I have some questions for the Secretary on operations. The government wants to include loans as qualifying investments. Will you be regulating the target of the loans to be made to, whether it has to be an entity in Hong Kong? And it is also said if an entity holds more than 20% interest in a sovereign wealth fund, the profits derived from loans would have to be taxed. So for this 20% threshold, would you include only interests held by entities making the loans in Hong Kong? If they are M&Es, will there be a consolidated calculation? If it is past 20%, will they not be entitled to such treatment? There's also a substantive activity requirement for the number of employees of at least 2. Can you talk about why it is set at this level? Would you refer to the requirements in Singapore on fund management in relation to manpower and expenditure? Can we make sure funds are not just hiring people to meet the requirement? We have also, for carried interest, we have funds charging performance fees being an income. Will this be a carried interest and they will receive tax exemption for this? Thank you. I will ask Mr. Chen of the IRD to answer the relevant questions. Thank you for the 4 questions. The first is on loan. We have included loans as qualifying investments. Whether the one borrowing the money has to be in Hong Kong, it is not necessarily the case. Whether one is in Hong Kong or overseas, it is also regarded as a qualifying investment. On anti-round tripping provisions, there is a 20% threshold. And this is targeting financial institution, insurance companies. They are subject to the anti-round tripping provisions because, as you may understand, the main source of income is interest income. We want to make sure these companies will not abuse a loophole to put loans in their funds to lower the tax burden. That's why we have specific provisions, and the threshold is 20%. The members' understanding is correct. When we consider whether one meets the 20% threshold, we will consider not just the company itself, but also the associated companies, whether they own part of the fund. This approach is in line with existing anti-round tripping provisions. Next, on the substantive activity requirement. we have this for the different presidential tax regimes. This requirement is just the lowest, the threshold, essentially. We will look at the overall operations of the companies, their income, to see if they have a sufficient number of employees. And by sufficient, I meant we have to look at the factors I mentioned earlier to see if 2 are adequate or whether they would need 3 or 4 or even more. As for employees, it's not just any employee. It has to be the qualified ones. For example, for funds or family offices, we need to have employees that have a certain level of knowledge or qualifications to deal with work relating to fund management and family office management. The performance fee and its difference with carried interests. Let me clarify that we are only enhancing the arrangements relating to carried interest. We do not have plans to change the arrangements relating to performance fees and the relevant tax arrangements. Performance fees is an income for a company. It would be an operational income. For an individual, it would be salary income. And for carried interest, for a fund, it would be about how an investment manager, when a fund performs well, they can earn more. So in the fund, some interest is given to the fund manager, almost like they are investing in the fund. This is called carried interest. If a fund manager does well and a performance bonus is given, it is not regarded as carried interest. We will still tax it based on existing provisions in the Inland Revenue Ordinance. Thank you.
多謝主席。
Mr. Chan Chen-ying, thank you. Over the past 2 years, we see a substantial increase in the number of family offices. I think that it's quite effective for us to use tax concessions to attract such offices to come to Hong Kong. I have 3 questions that are rather technical. Paragraph 6 of the paper talk about expanding the definition of funds. The Secretary has just explained it. Under D, it is said that an arrangement with only one investor and with the value of qualifying investment managed no less than $240 million, provided that the investor does not have day-to-day control over the management, then it will be included in the definition of fund. Is there any difficulty in assessing whether an investor has day-to-day control? Second, the Secretary said that we'll expand the definition of qualifying investment as well to cover digital assets. However, if a cryptographically secure digital representation which provides holder with an interest in any underlying asset other than qualifying investment, that will not be included, such as the token with real estate in Hong Kong as underlying assets. Will you give us a list of digital assets that will not be included under the definition of qualified interest, and will you amend the list from time to time? In paragraph 11, it is said that to enhance tax certainty, the government will develop an exclusion list, and the list will be updated from time to time by the Commissioner of Inland Revenue by notice published in the Gazette. I wonder if the Secretary will consult the sector before you update the exclusion list, before you put it up on the notice. Thank you. 3 questions, Secretary. I will ask Commissioner Chan to take the question. Thank you. First, you asked about the arrangement with only one investor. We have such a requirement. That is, the investor should not have day-to-day control over the management of the property. Under the current arrangement, we do already have such a requirement. We look at the facts. We look at the documents submitted by the applicant. We look at the strategies of investment and whether the investor took part in the decision as to the investment. We look at whether the investor is part of the committee of the fund. Before we decide whether the investor does have day-to-day control over the management of the property. Second, you asked about digital assets that will be included under the definition of qualifying investment. However, for digital assets that represent an underlying asset, this prevents digital assets posing as one, but with investment in other forms of assets. The sector may not fully grasp what assets will be excluded. That's why after the law is passed, we are going to illustrate some of the examples of assets that will be excluded on our website. Third, on the exclusion list, please rest assured we will definitely consult the trade as to what income should be excluded before we update the exclusion list. Thank you. Next, Mr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Chairman. I support the enhancements, and I recognize the efforts of the administration in attracting wealth management enterprises and family offices to Hong Kong. I have 3 questions. The first one is rather technical. I'd like to ask about the transitional arrangement for funds that are already in operation or those that may need to adjust their structures. Is there a transitional period or a grace period for them? Second, I wonder if the administration has assessed the impact to the wealth management sector of Hong Kong because of the enhancements. Third, I know that the administration is working hard to attract investments and enterprises to Hong Kong. Apart from tax concessions, do the wealth management companies or family offices have other preference as well? I will take the 2 questions and then Mr. Chan will take the other one. Thank you. On the benefits brought to Hong Kong from the enhancement of the preferential tax regimes, first, we do have an economic substantive activities requirement. Funds have to hire at least 2 employees in Hong Kong and incur no less than $2 million of operating expenditure in Hong Kong. They will also have to hire tax consultants, legal consultants on top of that. But it's difficult for us to grasp or quantify the exact benefits that will be brought about. Second, as mentioned by the Secretary in his opening remarks, we have this new capital investment entrance scheme We will look at the number of applications received to gauge the overall benefits brought to the asset and wealth management market. As for the transitional arrangement, I will ask the Commissioner of Inland Revenue to answer that. Regarding transitional arrangement, most of the proposed arrangements are enhancement. So we're of the view that it would be the best if we can implement these enhancement proposals as soon as possible. As mentioned in the paper, the measures will take effect retrospectively from the year of assessment 2025-26. We have included some new requirements for certain exemptions. Say, for example, the substantive activities requirement on operating expenditure on employees and reporting. We have consulted the trade in detail regarding these three requirements. On the number of qualified employees and operating expenditure, the trade has no objection to them because they want to leverage on our preferential regimes. They are of the view that they can meet our requirements on qualified employees and operating expenditure. On reporting requirement, we understand that if we ask the enterprises to make a report retrospectively starting from 2025, the funds may have difficulties. So we are now talking to the trade in adjusting the exact date where the reporting requirement will come into effect. We're still discussing with the sector on the reporting time frame. To put it simply, we're going to put in place a transitional arrangement so that the funds can meet our requirements. Thank you. Next, Mr. Webster. Thank you, Chairman. I have 3 questions. Overall speaking, I support the enhancements to the preferential tax regimes. On tax reporting, I wonder how we can make reports on certain accounting data. We want to meet the international requirements while lowering the tax burdens of our enterprises. I wonder if the administration can develop guidelines for the sector to enhance tax certainty. Second, on policies. I know that the administration wants to attract enterprises and companies with higher AUM, but can the administration set some KPI on, say, a number of jobs created, the income generated to certain professionals, and whether we can introduce more diversified assets class to Hong Kong? Third, on competition. In graph 6 of the statistics, we've compared the family offices between Hong Kong and Singapore. We don't have a pre-approval mechanism, and we don't have investment requirement. So I think that we are more flexible. Singapore has a tiered investment requirement. I wonder how our substantive activities requirement compared to that of Singapore, and I wonder if we will make further improvement so that we can attract family offices and enterprises from Singapore or other places to Hong Kong. Thank you. Secretary, I will take the policy-related questions first, and then Mr. Chan will elaborate. Thank you. First, as to the economic benefits brought to Hong Kong, we do want to gauge it in a more concrete manner. We have engaged a third party to conduct a study. They said that the family offices have hired about 10,000 people in Hong Kong, generating about $13 billion of economic benefit to Hong Kong. So these are the contributions of the existing family offices to Hong Kong. Looking forward, as you can see in the 2025 policy address, many family offices will come to Hong Kong through the Invest Hong Kong's efforts. We do have a KPI for that. By 2028, hopefully, we will have 220 new family offices in Hong Kong, or, well, we have published some figures on our CIES. The number of applications is as high as 3,200, which will bring about some 95 billion Hong Kong dollars of investment. Through various measures and tools, we want to facilitate our position as an international wealth management center. Well, for the other question, I will defer to Mr. Chan.
Thank you. Perhaps I will first answer the question on reporting the requirements. When we designed the reporting requirements, we had discussions, detailed discussions with the sector. Our approach is to strike a balance. On the one hand, we have to comply with international standards. For funds operating in Hong Kong or entities in general, we need to have their accounting information. But we also understand the funds sector operate a little differently from the rest of the financial sector. We try to strike a balance. We have discussed with the trade. We have adopted a relatively lax reporting regime. So we will have reporting based on a manager. We don't have to have reporting for each fund. So basically, a fund manager can report on an aggregate basis. What we need to know in terms of basic information is how many funds there are under a particular manager and some specific information. So the accounting information can be provided to us on an aggregate basis. They, of course, need to provide information to us so that we know whether they comply with the conditions for preferential tax arrangements. They need to make clear of such information. They can report digitally on our e-platform. And on the e-platform, there will be sufficient guidelines on what information to provide, the definitions, etc. So that's the new reporting arrangements. As for comparison to Singapore, as Dr. Wester said, we have our differences from Singapore's arrangements. When we designed the enhancement measures, an important point we considered is that we want to make the arrangements simple. In Singapore, they have 3 preferential tax regimes for funds. There are different requirements. They are applicable to different funds. We have a unified tax regime for funds. So our scheme is simpler and there are unified requirements for all funds. which is why we didn't introduce for different AUM, different expenditure requirements. We consulted the trade that about where we should set the lowest expenditure threshold. And we have set it at $2 million. I'm sorry, you may have to be brief. All right, so compared to Singapore, we do have some differences in design. Thank you. Professor Michael I. Thank you, Chair. I would like to first provide recognition of the efforts of the Bureau before. I also would like to express my support for the enhancement measures. For Dubai, Singapore, and some of the neighboring regions of ours, they are striving for different types of funds to be relocated. And even for the smaller enterprises, we should strive for them to come to Hong Kong because they will become big in future. And we have a 240 million threshold for the growing family offices. This is a relatively high threshold. Can we have a tiered system so that we will have more small family offices to come to Hong Kong, and we can also provide some transitional arrangements to help them grow in Hong Kong? On the tiered system for funds that are tens of billions of dollars or even hundreds of billions of dollars in size, if they only have 2 employees and $2 million in expenditure, it is probably not right for us to give them tax concessions. For example, in many countries, enterprises, if they want to list, they need to incur a certain level of operational expenditure and a certain number of employees before they can list. I think this is something we can refer to. Thank you, Secretary. I think the members' views are very much valid. We need to have regard to other places in setting our policies, and you can see that there are great changes in the world, including what's happening in the Middle East. Hong Kong is really precious in its advantage in being safe and secure, and we are also practicing the one country, two systems. That is a great advantage for us. It also supports us in launching different new policies. The member mentioned we should try to work with different fund sizes or different entities of different scales. We try to have a simple tax system, but we also want to alleviate the burden on applicants or those who want to take advantage of the preferential tax regimes. Actually, the 240 million threshold has been there for some time, and through a recent third-party survey, you can see that the tax concessions are a major reason why family offices and other entities want to come to Hong Kong. So our tax arrangements are quite competitive, and they have helped us attract funds to Hong Kong. And as Mr. Chen said, the substantial activity requirements are the minimum, and when they review the cases, they would make sure the number of employees hired and the expenditure incurred will be in accordance or will align with their work. So I will see also if Mr. Chen would like to add anything. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. As the Secretary said, the 2 employees to be hired, they are the minimum. For funds and family offices, when we check whether they are entitled to concessions, we will look at all the circumstances. We may ask for them to hire more employees to meet the requirement, and we will make clear of that in law. Thank you. Ms. Kamen Khan. Thank you, Chair. With enhancements to preferential tax regimes, basically expanding the scope of those covered, we have, for example, the changing of definitions and reviewing the scope of investments. I support the direction taken by the Bureau, and in fact, some of these I mentioned in my suggestions relating to budget submitted to the Financial Secretary. But we, of course, want to make sure these proposals are reasonable, and I believe the Commissioner heard members' concerns about comparing ourselves to Singapore as well as the Middle East, how we can make sure we have a comparative edge. Some members asked about the economic substance requirement, the substantial activity requirement, but there is no requirement on local investment. For Singapore, they have this requirement of 10% of the asset value or 10 million Singaporean dollars. We need to make sure, as I said earlier, the arrangements are reasonable. I heard the Secretary said the substantial activities requirements mentioned in the paper are the minimum, but we need to make sure we are not providing too much in concession so that we won't have an overly high revenue foregone. The paper also mentioned that international bodies are welcome to set up regional operations in Hong Kong. For example, the AIIB, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. And we will allow funds associated with international organizations to be covered basically. Except for AIIB, what other organizations do you have in mind? And we obviously will see a growth in this area. What are the government's plans in this area? Thank you. Secretary, I will answer some of the questions and I'll have my colleagues answer the rest. We, of course, pay close attention to how effective our measures are, especially the new policy measures. And with the users, if they consider relocation, they do not only consider whether they can meet the requirements. We all, for example, for family office policy, we do not have a pre-approval mechanism, whereas in Singapore, they do. I also will talk about why we do not have a requirement on local investment. We have different schemes and they have different policy goals. For example, under the CIES, at least 1/10 of the assets invested will be with the Hong Kong Investment Corporation. There's also a component in real estate investment. The CIES is about having people move to Hong Kong, so there has to be a greater nexus with Hong Kong. So we have specific requirements in this area. For the preferential tax regimes we highlighted on this occasion, it is about consolidating our status as an asset management center and to attract more relevant entities to come to Hong Kong. So we have a different vision. I will now ask Mr. Chen to answer the remaining questions. Thank you, Ms. Khan, for the questions. With our comparing to Singapore, as said earlier, they have 3 schemes for funds. We only have 1. So in design, we cannot really have all of the requirements in Singapore copied to Hong Kong. or it is also hard for us to lower the relevant requirements. We want to be competitive. We also want to have a simple tax system, so we have a unified regime. On expenditure requirements, Singapore, as I said earlier, has 3 schemes. Some are simple, and the amount has a serious range from 200,000 to 1 million Singaporean dollars, depending on the AUM. We need to set a particular indicator. We don't want to make it tiered to complicate things. So we set the threshold to be 2 million. In Singaporean dollars, it would be 1.2 million to 6 million. That is converting Singaporean dollars to Hong Kong dollars. So we adopted a lower threshold of $2 million. As Ms. Khan said, when we make a comparison and when we design our policy, we don't want to make our regime to be too concessionary so as to prevent abuse or avoidance of taxes, which is why we introduced the anti-round-tripping provisions, especially on carbon credit, private credit. For specific financial institutions, we know that interest income is their main source of income, which is why we introduced the anti-round-tripping provisions. We have also made enhancements to the anti-round-tripping provision specifically. For certain taxpayers, they are paying taxes on their income. With this new system, they will still have to pay taxes. But then we do not want to, with the new anti-round-tripping provisions, have people who don't have to pay taxes at the moment pay taxes either. So we specify in the new anti-round-tripping provisions which entities will be covered specifically. We believe we have adequate measures to prevent any potential issues.
Chairman, I think that we have to look into the benefits brought to Hong Kong by the new arrangement. You may think that funds coming to Hong Kong will benefit our local professional services sector, but there is no regulations on it. I think that the administration has noted your concern. Mr. Alan Chan, thank you. I fully support the proposed enhancement to the preferential tax regimes for funds, FIH fees, and carried interest. On including loans in qualifying investment, as well as private credit investments, we know that the SFC and Hong Kong MA have updated their Chapter 21. In Q2, private credit investment funds can be listed. If we can implement these tax regimes soon, then we can attract more private credit investment funds to Hong Kong to be listed. Second, on family office. That's what other countries called SFOs. We have 3,300 family offices with asset under management of over $100 million. While 32.4% out of the 3,300 FOs in Hong Kong manage over $100 million. Most of them come from Europe. We advocate for Hong Kong source rule. People coming from the mainland can enjoy tax concessions when they have their companies listed in Hong Kong. Our regime is also attractive to Europe. Greenland have blocked the Middle Sea. Israel has blocked the Mediterranean Sea. So European funds will go elsewhere. So I think that this tax regime comes in timely. The minimum asset threshold of ours is about $240 million. How do we compare to Dubai and Singapore? Why don't we lower it to $20 million? In terms of US dollars, that is 170 million Hong Kong dollars. The local investment requirement of Singapore is 10% AUM or 10 million Singaporean dollar. We don't have such a requirement. It seems that we are more attractive. However, for minimum asset threshold, our $240 million requirement is stricter than that of Singapore. It's already 3 minutes. Please leave some time for the Secretary to answer your question. Thank you. Well, first of all, I agree with what the member said. When we roll out policies, we have to focus on our goal. I thank the member for supporting our enhancement proposals. Regarding the data quoted by the member, say, for example, out of the 3,300 family offices in Hong Kong, that is single family offices in Hong Kong, over 1,000 manage over 100 million US dollars. Over 2,500 family offices manage over 50 million US dollars. In other words, we are very competitive. Second, how do we fare compared to Singapore? For family offices that use our regime, I think that they look at a host of factors. We don't have a local investment requirement. I think that this is good for the family offices because they can relocate or adjust their funds more flexibly. Second, we don't have an advance approval mechanism. It makes it more convenient for the investors. On the minimum asset threshold requirement, as mentioned, we have a simple and low tax regime. How do we decide on the 30 million US dollar requirement? Well, we've looked at the SFC. One of the indicators they use is also 30 million US dollars. I think that it makes it more clear for family offices because we have a standardized requirement. That's why we align our requirements at the 30 million US dollar threshold. As Commissioner said, in the past, we've looked at the successful cases. 2 employees is the lowest requirement. The $2 million of operating expenditure is also the minimum threshold. We are of the view that our policy package is competitive and we offer stability. That's our edge. So we're confident in the threshold that we've set and our policy. I have to draw the line. There are 4 members waiting to speak. After they're spoken, I will conclude this item. Next, Mr. Hong Kam-min. Thank you, Chairman. I support the enhancement to the preferential tax regimes for fund, FIHVs, and carried interests. Just now, Mr. Ngai talked about the lowering the minimum asset threshold to attract family offices to Hong Kong. I support it. I like to seek clarifications on certain points in the paper. It is said that the administration will develop an exclusion list, and the list will be updated from time to time by the Commissioner of Inland Revenue by notice published in the Gazette. I wonder what factors you take into account before you come up with a list. Second, it is said that the threshold is an average number of qualified employees is adequate in the opinion of the Commissioner of Inland Revenue. B, the total amount of operating expenditure incurred in Hong Kong is adequate in the opinion of the Commissioner of Inland Revenue. So I wonder what factors the Commissioner took into account before deciding whether the number of employees or the amount of operating expenditure is adequate. I think that the administration should further clarify them. And I wonder how family office contribute to our economy and how they create jobs in Hong Kong, how we benefit from the tax revenue from them. Secretary, well, we have engaged a third party to conduct a study. Out of the 3,300 family offices in Hong Kong, they have hired about 10,000 people in Hong Kong. Every year, they contribute approximately $12.6 billion to a local economy. As for the rest of the questions, I will ask the Commissioner for Inland Revenue to answer them. Thank you. On the exclusion list, as I mentioned earlier, when we develop the preferential tax regimes, we don't want to have the regime abused or see any tax avoidance activities. That's why, as we develop or update the exclusion list, we will look into whether income taxable by other forms of regimes will be avoided. And if that's the case, the income will be included in the exclusion list. When we update the list, as mentioned, we will consult the trade first. Second, on the substantial activities requirement, what does adequacy mean? We have introduced similar requirements in our other tax concession measures. We look at the overall situation of the company or the taxpayer, including the scale of operation, the profit they earned. These are the factors we look into. Regarding the requirement of 2 employees and operating expenditure of $2 million, these are the minimum threshold only. If the taxpayer's scale of operation and their profit are substantial, they will have to hire more than 2 people and incur operating expenditure of more than $2 million. Mr. Nick Chen, thank you. On the enhancements to the tax regimes, I think that they are great. They are very targeted. I have a few questions. Paragraph 20 of the paper says that the administration is going to remove the Hong Kong MA certification requirement. How do we gatekeep if the requirement is removed? Second, we have 3,300 family offices. Some of them are just companies owned by families before they go listed. Should they be considered family office? We are expanding the definition of fund to include pension fund. Thank you.
或者我先請
Secretary, I will first ask the Hong Kong MA representative to answer the question on certification requirement, and then I will ask Mr. Chen to answer the other questions. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, member, for the question. Hong Kong MA right now has two approval requirements. One, if the fund is working on the relevant private credit investment, and the other requirement right now, with the new arrangements, the requirements will not change. It's just that the processing will be done by the RRD instead of Hong Kong MA to streamline the approval process. Thank you. Mr. Chen, thank you. For the definition of the family office, we do not specify in law what the family office is in its form. It can be a trust, it can be a private company. For example, there is a requirement, though, 95% of the beneficial interest should be held by the family. We do have some exceptions. For example, if the other holder is a charitable organization, it can go up to 25%. That is, the share for the family can be decreased to 75%. If they meet all of these requirements, one will be entitled to the tax concession regime for family offices. Thank you. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, I have 3 questions. One is on anti-round tripping provisions in paragraph 15. So we have a certain percentage. Can you elaborate what the percentage is going to be? Also, for tax reporting, under 18B, the operational expenditure has to be no less than 2 million. Can you talk about what items are excluded? It is supposed to be operational expenditure, but can you provide a list of excluded items to make it clearer? There's also a minimum requirement for substantial activities requirement being 2 million and 2 employees. Can we have specific requirements for family offices? Because I believe they are of very different circumstances. Mr. Chen, thank you. Right now, we already have 30% for the percentage in paragraph 15, the one mentioned there. As for the substantial activities requirement, as I said earlier, we have these requirements for many preferential tax regimes. In general, we do not spell out in law specifically what the requirement for operational expenditure should be, because for different companies, it can be very different. So it is hard also for us to say which expenses are operational, which are not. But we can perhaps adopt a simple approach where we have expenditure incurred for the operations of the company or expenditure incurred for the deriving of profits. They are generally regarded as operational expenditure. Okay, the last one to speak would be me. For the enhancements to preferential tax regimes for different entities, I support them. We have the paper mention expanding the scope of qualifying investments, including digital assets, precious metals, and specified commodities. We have some members ask about digital assets. I want to ask specifically about precious metals? Would it include all forms of precious metals, say physical gold, or would it also include derivatives of precious metals or funds investing in precious metals, whether they're listed or not? Will we have a wide coverage like this? Thank you. I will ask Mr. Ho and Mr. Chen to answer the relevant questions. Mr. Ho. As the chairman said, we're actively trying to promote the trading of gold in Hong Kong. It is an important priority of the Bureau. And we can see the trend is that family offices and funds are very interested in investing in commodities and precious metals in general. In our plan, we do not only refer to physical gold by precious metals. We will first focus on the geographic level. We want them to invest in Hong Kong more, but we do not actually have any geographical restrictions. If they make investment in precious metals outside Hong Kong, we also allow it. As for classes, as the chairman mentioned, physical gold, ETF, futures, they are all qualifying investments. Thank you, Chair. Thank you. According to paragraph 30 of the paper, the administration is planning to submit the legislative amendments to the council in the first half of this year. Thus, do members have any comments? If not, I believe this is what the administration will do. Thank you, administration representatives, for attending the discussion of this item. Let's move on to the next item number 4. Budget of the Mandatory Provident Fund Schemes Authority for the financial year of 2026 and 2027, and latest development of the eMPF platform. Let's welcome representatives of the administration inside the conference room.
All
right. Welcome representatives from the FSTB, MPFA, and the eMPF platform company. When you're ready, I will ask Mrs. Alicia Lau, chairman of the MPFA, to speak. As we have limited time, please be brief in your presentation. Thank you. Good morning. We are going to brief members on the main features of the proposed budget of the MPFA and the latest development of the eMPF platform. In the coming year, we have 3 major areas of work. 1, we will have all schemes onboarded onto the platform. We have now 22 schemes onboarded. The 2 left are industry schemes. We will arrange for them to join eMPF at the end of this month and next month. We are also looking to enhance service standards of the eMPF. We will closely monitor the performance of the contractor so that we can provide a better experience to users. Third, we are going to enhance the digital uptake rate. We have now dealt with close to 7 million administrative instructions. About 70% of them were submitted electronically. This is higher than we expected. In ratio, we will encourage all users to deal with their instructions electronically. And before, we would have 58 basis points in administrative fees charged. In the first 2 years of the eMPF's operation, we are charging 37 basis points are being charged. We hope to reduce it further to 29 basis points. So we will be reducing the points by half. And we hope to lower the fees to the level of 20 to 25 basis points. Before, we had in mind to reach this goal in 10 years. We are very confident that we can reach this goal within 5 years. That is, the time will be reduced by half. We also asked trustees to review fees to make sure there is cost effectiveness, and some trustees already have plans to reduce fees. We will continue to promote the reduction of fees among trustees. On policy development, we will complete the lowest and maximum income level for eMPF contributions for 2020 to 2026 soon. And we will also support the government in the second phase of eMPF full portability arrangements. We will enhance the procedures for recovering non-paid eMPF contributions. We will also look at expanding the investable asset classes under eMPF and review DIS fund related arrangements. We will hold a global forum this year of the OECD and the pension fund regulator of the world. We expect 1,000 people will attend the relevant forum. In the next financial year, in terms of budget, we will continue to cut the overall expenditure by 2%. So counting this year and the previous year, it would be 3 years, we will be cutting expenditure by 5% in total. Back then, 1998, we were granted $5 billion. And over many years, 30 years, because we have been practicing prudent financing, in March of 2027, we will still have an unspent balance of $2.1 billion. However, we will still have a deficit this year, so we will review the charge ratio so as to eliminate that deficit. Thank you. Thank you. I'll now open the floor to members for questions. Questions and answers included. I will assign a 3-minute time limit. The members who have pressed the request to speak button include Mr. Holden Chow, Mr. Chen Pui-Lun, Dr. Johnny Ng, Mr. Alan Chen, Ms. Carmen Khan, Mr. Lee Kwang Yu, Professor Michael I, Mr. Hong Kam In, Mr. Nick Chen, and Mr. Yu Ming. Mr. Holden Chow, you're the first to speak. Thank you. Chair, I would first like to welcome officers of the eMPFA here today. In fact, the chairman of the eMPFA has been liaising with LegCo members closely. We have had some issues before, and we have conveyed such views to the eMPFA. According to the paper, you have deployed many more officers to the front line to deal with user issues. So we have seen the situation improve. I have some comments. As we have the last 2 schemes onboarded onto eMPF, we actually discussed this earlier at a subcommittee meeting. Allow me to say this again here. The 2 schemes are industry schemes for casual workers in the catering and construction industries. The employers are not as familiar with electronic submission or electronic communication in general. please, for the two schemes, make sure you communicate with the users so that they know well how they can submit forms. And I would also suggest setting up more points for paper submission for the employers or users in general, because the two industries are not exactly white-collar industries, so they are different from the users you have before. According to the presentation, we will see a reduction in fee levels. I believe this is welcomed by the public because we have heard many years different trustees charge different levels of fees, and some charge very high fees, even just for management fees. So I do welcome the reduction. I have a question, however. Apart from what you have in target, will you further reduce the fees to respond to the cost of citizens? These are my two questions. Thank you.
個問題嘅。
Thank you for 2 questions. eMPF platform is the largest reform since the launch of the eMPF scheme. So the MPFA and the eMPF platform been working on monitoring the operation of the platform. We want to maintain the security of it. We have devised many measures to enhance the operational efficiency of the platform. You talked about the 2 industry schemes for the construction and catering industries. We fully understand that industry practitioners for these schemes may not be very well versed in electronic devices. So we have launched a series of publicity and education campaigns since 6 months ago. We have been working with the trade unions and employer associations of these 2 industries and help the workers register for the eMPF platform. We do have a MPF fleet, and the fleet go to all 18 districts of Hong Kong. After the 2 industry schemes have been onboarded, we will arrange for the MPF fleet to visit construction sites and restaurant clusters to help workers register. Please be brief. Well, third, thank you for supporting our lowering of the administration fee. As I said in my opening remarks, the administration fees for eMPF platform have been lowered. For other fees charged by trustees, we look at them one by one. On top of administration fees, we'll try to lower other fees as well. It's important for us to lower our fees because if we can lower the fees, then we have more balance in the employee's account for the retirement. Thank you. Mr. Champulan. Thank you, Chairman. I'm glad to see that after 2 years' time, the last 2 industry schemes will be onboarded very soon. And I also see that the platform fee has been lowered. Starting from April, the fee level will be going from 37 to 29 basis points. That's a 20% drop. I think that we are heading towards the right direction. When we have more users as all the schemes are onboarded, we have received many complaints against the platform. There is unclear information shown on the platform. There is disruption on the process. and also the time taken to respond to complaints is very long. All these affect the user's experience of the eMPF platform. So I have a suggestion. The platform works with trustees and intermediaries. Trustees and intermediaries come into contact directly with the users. I believe that they collect many reviews from the users. But it seems that the intermediaries and trustees only come into contact with the platform in the form of uploading information. So I think that we have to enhance communication between the trustee and the platform, and I think that we have to develop some performance pledge. We have to enhance transparency on complaint handling. How can we improve our efficiency? And I wonder how the NPFA will enhance their regulation over the platform so that we can meet the stakeholders' demand. Thank you. Mr. Thao. Thank you for your question. I'd like to elaborate on the fee level. We have lowered the fee level from 37 to 29 basis points. That's a 20% drop. But that's half of the level before we have the eMPF platform. We're confident that in less than 5 years' time, we can lower it to 20 to 25 basis points. Cumulatively, we would have reduced the fee level by 60%. We will continue to work towards this direction, and we will look into whether we can further lower the fee level. On service level, the platform was launched in June 2024. We have processed about 7 million administrative instructions. Most of them were smooth. We understand that some employers and scheme members came across difficulties in usage and operation of the platform when their schemes were just onboarded. We value each and every case. We follow up on all of the complaints so that we can solve problems for the users. We have introduced many measures to improve user experience. I wonder if I can ask our CEO to elaborate. Thank you. Thank you for the members' suggestion. Well, on our communication and collaboration with the trustees, every month we have a CEO level meeting with the 12 trustees. In these meetings, we look into the daily operation of the platform to see if there is any room for improvement and the way forward. These are the standard agenda items we have in the meeting. Regarding agency force of insurance companies, we also work very closely with them. Scheme members are clients of these companies. We have seminars co-organized with these insurance companies. We also have online workshops with them. Before the launch of the schemes, we deploy our colleagues to these companies to assist in their onboarding. We have the participation of over 30,000 intermediaries for our events. Regarding performance pledge, we do have them. On withdrawal of funds, the work is undertaken by the trustees. So we do have to have a performance pledge on this area. We work very closely with the trustees and we have regular meetings. Thank you. Chairman, can they answer my question on monitoring? A very short answer. First, The eMPF company is wholly owned by the MPFA. MPFA does monitor the operation of the eMPF company. The board of directors of the eMPF Platform Company Limited include colleagues from the MPFA, and the laws empower the MPFA to monitor the operation of the eMPF platform. Thank you. Next, Mr. Johnny Ng. Thank you, Chairman. I thank the MPFA for coming today. I have two questions. First, on the usage of the platform. As we know that there have been media reports over the past few months saying that scheme members fail to see their balance despite contributions being made, and some people made use of false Hong Kong ID to log on to the platform. I understand that there's bound to be problems given the scale of the platform. I appreciate the fact that the Hong Kong MA have beefed up their manpower resources to cater to the complaints. But if our platform can be improved, then we don't have to have so much manpower to handle complaints. I wonder how much resources have been dedicated on security testing and cybersecurity. Second, does the contractors have the responsibility to solve the problems that we have? And are they written in the agreements with them? Second, on the investment products available, the amount of investment of MPF is as high as some few billion dollars. And we're going to transfer fund from the exchange fund to the Capital Works project fund for Northern Metropolis, as mentioned in the budget. I wonder if we will include such type of investment products on the development of Northern Metropolis in the MPF scheme. Thank you. Let me answer the question on investment. Regarding user experience and eMPF, I will ask the CEO to answer that question. The MPFA have been looking into how we can diversify the types of permissible investment products. There may be suitable products for investment for the purpose of retirement. That's why we have included quite a number of new products in the scheme. We have reviewed the REIT products available in MPF scheme. We allow MPF scheme members invest in REITs listed on the Shenzhen and Shanghai exchange, and we have cancelled the cap for investing in REITs in overseas exchange. When we have the timetable for the Hong Kong Shenzhen Stock Connect, then we can implement the scheme. We have completed the review on allowing investment in private credit fund that are listed in Hong Kong. We have consulted the trade. We are going to allow investment in ETFs. We are going to review whether we should allow the investment in gold ETF, because all along, MPF schemes can invest in a gold ETF permitted by the Hong Kong MPFA. But as we all know, that the market is progressing, and we want Hong Kong to be developed into a gold exchange hub. That's why we may introduce new products for MPF scheme members. These are the things that we will review in the upcoming year. I will ask the CEO to answer the other question. Thank you. On the readiness of our system, apart from conducting our own assessment, we have engaged a third-party consultant to verify the readiness of the system before it was launched. It includes the security design and construction of the system. We adhere to the highest international standards, and we have also made reference to the Digital Policy Office's requirement. On top of that, we have a series of security measures, including 24-hour monitoring. I will not go into the details. As for the recent criminal case involving the use of forged identity cards, well, that did not involve any system security issues, but that's a fraud problem. The problems lies with the eKYC procedures. Ultimately, we're of the view that the eMSmart of the government is the only channel that can provide the most reliable verification process. So currently, we only allow users to use eMSmart to open our eMPF account. If they don't have an eMSmart account, then they can come to our centers to open their account with us. Second, on top of the readiness of the system, we have to look into the data issues. Well, they emerged in the first 2 to 3 months when the schemes were onboarded. Sometimes the trustees' Hong Kong ID card number may not align with the name printed on it. To ensure the security of the account, we did not display the name of the member, and we only display it upon verification with the scheme members. We have asked the trustees to step up publicity and education. Well, it's almost 7 minutes. Please stop here. There are still 8 members waiting to speak. Next, Mr. Alan Chan.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I would like to praise Mrs. Alicia Lau's approach, having talked to members in detail in advance, holding actually a 2-hour Zoom meeting to answer members' questions. Now, the government gave the MPFA a $5 billion capital grant 28 years ago for the MPFA to operate on a self-financing basis. It has been so long. When will the MPFA actually operate on a self-financing basis? It is now upscale. In 2028-29, we will be managing substantial assets. I hope that we can really expedite the timeline in giving back to the government on the part of the MPFA. On cost control, we did see a 2% planned cut, but then in the revised estimates, we have only seen a 1.2% cut, and mainly it's due to a cut in capital expenditure. In the AI era, we should be increasing capital expenditure while cutting manpower costs. I hope that Mrs. Lau can make sure we have stringent cost control. And in fact, for personal emoluments, there is actually a 4.2% in proportion, and they have hired an additional increasing the headcount to 4,000, and they have also hired external consultants. I think this is going against our original intent. How much manpower is there exactly if we have too many employees. Is that unreasonable? Because we should have economies of scale with an increased scale. I think we can also look at charging transaction fees in order to earn an income so that they no longer have to be funded by the government. Please save some time for the administration to answer your questions. All right, I'll stop here. I will ask my colleague to provide detailed information on how we're striving for a balance in our fiscal position. We still have much in unspent balance from the capital grant. We still have a deficit every year because our main source of income is the annual registration fee. We were originally allowed in law to start charging the fees in 2000, but we didn't start charging the fee until 2020, and we charge relatively low level of fees since 2020. So we are going to review this. I will now ask my colleague to answer the other questions. Right. Thank you. Mr. Cheng Yanqi, thank you. As the chairman said, we should have started charging the annual registration fee in 2000, but the government understood how early on we wouldn't have much in assets under the eMPF. So for this reason and other reasons, it was only since 2020 that we started charging fees, and they are very low, which is why we still have a deficit. In 2020, we started charging half of the costs, basically. So we have less of a deficit, and we actually have a lower deficit than before this year compared to the year before. As we see a higher AUM, we will see an even lower deficit. As the chairman said, we have been practicing prudent finance, which is why after many years, the $5 billion, we still have approximately $2 billion in unspent balance. As Mr. Chen said earlier, we have been trying to save money, and as the chairman said, in 2024-25, we cut our costs by 1%. In 2025, we follow government policy and cut 2% in our expenditure. We will cut our costs by another 2% this year, and we expect to cut another 2% in 2027-28. So from the 2024-25 year, we will cut in total 7% of our expenditure. We welcome Mr. Chen to continue to monitor our performance. As for personal allowance, we have in plans 4.2%, but this is just what we have planned. It depends on the circumstances whether we are able to hire the specific personnel and how much we're paying them in salaries. The actual amount may therefore vary. Lastly, we have seen a reduction in manpower over the years. We actually have 700-odd officers back in the 2010s. Now we have about 600 people. It is a cut of more than 12%. As we have more work to do, we actually reduce our manpower. How are we able to achieve this? It is because we have been streamlining our processes to try to do more with less. This is all along our approach. Mr. Chen also mentioned how we can reduce manpower by perhaps making use of AI. We are actually already doing that. We are exploring how we can use AI further to streamline our work and save resources. Thank you. Ms. Kamen Khan. Thank you. Chair, the chairman and I are members of the relevant committee on legislation relating to eMPF. And we have already conveyed the views of the sector and relevant stakeholders through the subcommittee. I hope the MPFA will heed the advice of stakeholders. This is a big project. We will soon have all trustees onboarded. It involves 4 million odd workers, $1.6 trillion in assets. This is indeed an important project, and we're at a critical juncture. I hope the MPFA can really listen to stakeholders' views. I think instead of deploying more officers, we can perhaps let intermediaries play a bigger role as they did before to provide assistance to users. As for enhancing the service standard of contractor and the platform in general, I think that is a good idea, because after all, the operator is the eMPF platform company. But then it is a wholly owned subsidiary of the MPFA, and the MPFA is managing the body. It would be self-supervision in a way. I think we can do better in regulation. Basically, MPFA's responsibility would involve the operator, that is PCCW Solutions Limited, performing its role. Will you be reviewing the contract with the operator to make sure there is compliance with the service pledge, or even penalties for not complying with service standards? Well, actually, the Audit Commission can also audit the operations of the MPFA and by extension eMPF platform company in accordance with relevant legislation. Please save some time for the representatives to answer the relevant questions. Well, I understand that there are also some joint check arrangements with other authorities with the PCPD. Perhaps the MPFA can also consider this. Thank you. We actually attach great importance to the concerns of the sector. We have held many meetings with the trade, and in fact, after the platform has launched, we have held seminars, training workshops for trustees and intermediaries to help them get familiar with the operations of eMPF. We do understand that intermediaries are very familiar with the MPF arrangements. I think with their help, it will actually make things much easier with less effort. So I think we will continue with that direction. We have 75 KPIs on different operational areas of the platform. If the standards are not complied with, we will ask them to provide improvement proposals and timeline. There are also penalties. We can reduce payments to be paid to the company. Ms. Khan suggested that we should have a joint review or joint inspection on personal data privacy. We have all along been consulting the PCPD. We have also referred to their guidelines in the design of the platform. Thank you. Mr. Lee Kuan Yew.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the ePFA for keeping in close communication with us. The total expenditure has been dropped and the deficit has been lowered. I'd like to commend the MPFA for that. I'd like to ask about the manpower. We have 4,000 service providers. Is that a long-term arrangement? As Mr. Ng said, we have to streamline the process of the platform so that we can tackle the root cause of any problems that arise. Second, you said that you received 7 million administrative instructions. What is the ratio between the cases handled and the number of cases received? I'd like to commend Eric from the eMPF Platform Company Limited. They have resolved some cases relating to 100 colleagues from my sector. I know that the MPFA is going to receive more revenue from the registration fee. However, it is said that the investment revenue will drop by 40.6% compared to the estimates last year. I wonder if the MPFA can improve their investment team to raise the investment income. I believe that if the drop of investment income will not be as high as 40%, then we can address the deficit problem. Thank you. I thank the member for his recognition of the work of our colleagues. You have 3 questions. The first 2 questions are about eMPF. I'd like to ask the CEO of the company to address those. Third question on investment income. I'd like to ask the managing director to answer the question. The CEO first, please. On the number of service providers, well, we have as many as 4,000. We do not specify the number of employees in the contract. Our requirement is that they have to meet our performance pledge. We're of the view that we are at the peak of onboarding. After that, I think that the contractors will lower their manpower level. The goal of eMPF is to promote digitalization. As we become more digitalized, I believe that the contractors will not need as many employees. Second, on the 7 million instructions received, we're talking about the instructions that have been processed and completed as of right now. Thank you. The managing director, please. Thank you, member, for his concern on our investment income. It is true that some of the balance been handed over for investment by our managers. We monitor the performance of the fund manager very closely. The 5.16% is a projection, which is probably less than the estimates this year. But that's just a projection, I have to stress. In fact, the revenue stands at 2-digit percentage. But as to whether the investment income is as gloomy as projected, we have to look at that next year. All I can say is that we are strictly monitoring the performance of our fund managers. Thank you. Next, Mr. Michael Ngai. Thank you. I support the NPFA's efforts in digitalization. 22 NPF trust schemes been onboarded. 70% of the employers have joined, but only 1/3 of the scheme members have registered an eMPF account. I wonder how the NPFA can enhance the registration rate among scheme members. So are grassroots or elderly casual workers the ones who have not registered an account? And I wonder if the authority will have a more targeted publicity campaign for these members who have not joined. Thank you. On digitalization, the 70% employers and 30% employees figure you mentioned, we're talking about eMPF account registration. More employers have registered and fewer employees have. There is one important factor to that because employers have to make contributions every month, but for scheme members, they may only register an account when they have to give instructions. We will step up our publicity and education campaigns to promote the platform to encourage more members to open an account with us. The digital take-up rate is satisfactory, however. We look at how many instructions are given electronically by the digital take-up rate. Our goal was that 50% of the instructions should be given digitally, second 60%, third year 70%, fifth year 90%. However, we are only at the 20-month mark. Over 70% of the instructions were given electronically. So in 20 months, we meet our 3-year target. As I said, one of our key efforts this year is to enhance the digital take-up rate. As we become more digitalized, then the operational efficiency will be higher, and as a result, the expenditure can be lowered. And when that happens, we can further reduce the administration fees. I will ask the managing director to talk about publicity. Thank you. We have not ceased our publicity and education efforts. We are working at full steam in strengthening our promotion and education activities. We have leveraged on various media channels. We have worked with many organizations on this front. We've worked with chambers of commerce, trade unions, local organizations, community care teams, home affairs offices, along with many clansmen associations. We try to extend as our network as far as possible so that more people know about our platform, so that we can help them register an eMPF account. As mentioned by our chairman, if more members use our platform digitally, then we can further lower our fees. We will target grassroots employees in the construction and catering sectors under the industry schemes. We have arranged our colleagues and an MPF fleet to where they work to help them register for an account on our platform. We have also been working with many political parties in putting up some information booths or registration booths. We have also a booth at the fair at the Causeway Bay, and we provided on-site registration service. We also have a booth at the flower market. We try to set up booths to help people register for an account at all large-scale events. As mentioned, we also deploy eMPF fleet to construction sites, at Chinese restaurant clusters, or even hotels to help scheme members register an eMPF account. Thank you. Next, Mr. Hong come in. Thank you, Chairman. I thank the Chairman for briefing the FTU members so that we learned more about the development of the eMPF platform. I have a few questions. First, it is said that the MPFA has commenced groundworks to support the target of implementing Phase 1 proposal within 2026. I wonder what groundwork you have undertaken. Second, on investment income, if we look at the chart for financial year 2025-26, the investment income estimates was $110 million, but after adjustment is $5.8 million. That's 46.89% less than the original estimates. The estimate this year is $65 million. Will the revised estimates be even lower than the original proposed budget? What's the problem? Is it with the fund companies that you engage? How can we improve our investment income? Lastly, I wonder if the eMPF Company Limited will engage an independent monitoring committee to look into their service. Thank you. Thank you for the questions. Let me answer the third question first. That is, if we will establish a committee to enhance the service of the eMPF platform. We have a similar arrangement. We have an expert panel comprising professionals from the IT sector to provide advice to us. We also have users as members of our panel. They will offer us comments. We have also engaged a professional company to conduct various testings for us. So similar arrangements is already in place. As for the other two questions, I will ask the managing director to answer the question. Thank you for the question. You asked about the groundwork that we've undertaken to implement the Phase 1 proposal within 2026. That is within this year. We have commenced our work because for us to implement the proposal this year, we have to have the infrastructures with the eMPF ready. Thank you. Next, Mr. Nick Chan. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to thank Mr. Lau for sharing, and I thank the Managing Director for answering my questions. I have two questions. First, on engagement activities with scheme members, you said that you would dedicate $8 million on it. Last year, you spent $12 million on it. Why the expenditure on member education and engagement has dropped? Second, on information system related expenses, it amounts to some $50 million. It's good for us to use more AI, but can we use more local creations or softwares developed by the mainland? Thank you. The two questions are about the budget of the eMPF. I will ask the Managing Director to answer that. Thank you for the questions. Now, in terms of PR, member education and engagement, it seems that our estimated expenditure has been lowered, but the fact is that since the eMPF platform is already in full operation, the PR efforts is paid from the eMPF accounts. It doesn't mean that the MPFA will not continue our efforts in promoting the platform, but the reason why the estimates were higher last year was because the eMPF platform was not in full operation. That's why the MPFA shouldered the cost. As the eMPF platform has already been commissioned, the expenses is paid from their account. Please rest assured that we will continue to dedicate resources on this front. The only difference is with accounting. Second, regarding your question on IT, as I said, we are going to apply AI on our operation in the coming year. Our contractors, we invite mainland companies to engage in our IT projects as well. Thank you.
All right, we have two other members who have pressed the request to speak button. I will draw the line after the two members have spoken. Mr. Yu Ming. Thank you, Chair. The eMPF platform has been in operation for quite some time, and the MPFA aims to reduce the administrative fees that in the end will benefit the public. The goal for next year is to lower the administrative fees from 37 basis points to 29 basis points, and in future we will have even further reduction. As I said earlier, this will benefit the public. I want to ask how many of the users actually make tax-deductible voluntary contributions. I understand the Bureau said earlier the MPF is for retirement savings of the public, but the platform is so good and it has such low administrative fees. Is it possible for us to expand the coverage of use of contributions so that we can use it for the acquisition of the public's first property or for healthcare, so as to allow more flexibility? Is it possible to study this in future? Mrs. Lau. Thank you, Mr. Yu, for your questions. The MPF scheme is a mandatory scheme under which workers are compelled to save money and make investment while they're still working to provide them with basic retirement protection. We also allow users to make voluntary contributions. As the member said earlier, we have tax-deductible voluntary contributions. We also have just general voluntary contributions. We have been doing much publicity. We are very confident in the MPF scheme. We agree with what Mr. Yu said. This is a very good long-term retirement fund scheme. We encourage scheme members to make good use of voluntary contributions. We also noted in recent years we have more employers making voluntary contributions because they understand voluntary contributions are a good tool for attracting talents. As for whether the funds can be used for acquisition of property or healthcare, I believe in-depth studies are needed. And we also need to distinguish between mandatory and voluntary contributions. In fact, the Financial Secretary actually answered this question partly in his response in relation to the budget for using the funds in the acquisition of property. Thank you. Mr. Ray Wong, thank you. As another member said earlier, the MPFA already held a Zoom meeting answering members' questions. As I said at that meeting, I hope that eMPF, because it is collecting much data, it has an edge and it can really provide the information to the different sectors on contributions and other areas so that the relevant sectors can find out more about a labor gap and retirement protection. As for the administrative fees, the expense ratio is still quite high. I hope that the cost savings can be reflected in the fee expense ratio and really generate benefits for the public. I have noted many users say eMPF operations can be quite complex. I hope the eMPF platform company can deploy more personnel to provide support at least during the transitional period to employers. Thank you. Mrs. Lau. Thank you, Mr. Rong, for your views on data collection. When the platform is in full operation, we'll review what kind of data can be made available to the public. We do thank you for your suggestion. On administrative fees, the reduction of which is definitely a work goal of ours, and we are very confident that we can lower the fees even further. The target is to lower the fees to the level of 20 to 25 basis points. That would already mean for a 65% decrease, but we will not be satisfied. We will not be complacent. We will seek to lower the fees even further. What was the third question on the platform? Right, for the platform, how we can provide better support. The managing director has talked much about it. I also covered some parts of those. For employers, we actually have a outreach team, and by appointment, the team can be deployed to employers' premises to help them register and teach them how to use the platform. We have already completed 15,000 odd outreach sessions. We have heard very good feedback from employers. They believe the sessions were of great help. If you know of any employer who has a problem, you can get in touch with our outreach team. Understand right now it would take 2 weeks to a month. If you can expedite this, it would be nice. Ms. Kamen Khan would like to speak again. I would just like to declare the group I serve provides services related to MPF. Alright, due to time constraints, I only have some comments. You do not need to respond to those. Many members mention how the vision of the platform is to reduce administrative fees, enhancing efficiency, and standardizing relevant services. This is a big project. I think many people understand this. However, we have received many inquiries or even complaints demonstrating many users encounter issues. I understand that the MPFA has done much, but in future, the authority would really have to make sure we provide a good user experience. I understand you said on earlier occasions that information is not lost, it's just not displayed on the platform. But for a user, if information is not correctly displayed, they can be really worried. So please do not underestimate their concerns. We have also on social media and 8 ratings. I hope that you will really take into account reasonable feedback. Some may just criticize without reason, but some feedback is quite valid. So you should really try to refer to those and fix the issues. I don't need a response from you. These are just my comments. Thank you, Chair. We'll continue to listen to feedback from stakeholders, and we will try to enhance service quality and user experience. This is an important part of our work. Thank you, representatives, for attending the discussion of this item. Let's move on to the next agenda item. Budget of the Insurance Authority for the financial year of 2026-2027. I will now ask representatives of the administration to come inside the conference room.
可能呢度要追翻少少後邊，而家少啲人可能會嗰啲提問就唔會咁多。我哋歡迎財經事務及
Welcome, representatives from the FSTB Insurance Authority. If you're ready, I will ask Mr. Stephen Yu, Chairman of the Insurance Authority, to give a presentation. Due to time constraints, please be brief with your presentation. Thank you. Thank you, Chair, members. The Insurance Authority's statutory functions is to maintain market stability, protect policyholders, and promote the continuous development of the sector and enhance its competitiveness. Let me first give an overview of the work in the last year, and I will then talk about work targets for the next year. On maintaining market stability, we take a risk-based approach. We also provide incentives to insurance companies to invest in infrastructure and enhance Hong Kong's status as an asset management hub. On protection of policyholders, we have introduced measures relating to the income structure of intermediaries to enhance regulation on bonus sharing policies, and we have also stepped up intelligence collection and inspections. On promoting continuous development of the insurance sector, we have also done much. We had 2 companies setting up captive insurance companies in Hong Kong. We also have 2 insurance companies were domiciled to Hong Kong. On enhancing competitiveness, last year we made use of the AI promotional arrangements. We set up a center to train local talents and encourage matching of services. For the Wangford Court Fire, we have a specific team coordinating the sector to deal with claims. As at the end of February this year, we already have 1,038 cases dealt with, 84% of the total number of cases, involving $536 million. In 2026-27, we have measures planned in 8 areas. We are planning to first submit to the Legislative Council legislative proposals on risk-based capital regime changes. We also will attract more large enterprises to set up captive insurance companies in Hong Kong. We also keep an open mind, but we also want to try to be responsible in the use of AI. We have plans to promulgate guidelines. We also will have the insurance sector work with academic institutions to build a database on climate data to enhance resilience against climate conditions of the city. And we also have reference to the latest insurance guidelines to make amendments to our regulatory framework. We also will have a comprehensive review on healthcare insurance. We will specifically focus on conduct. We will have an insurance forum held in November this year. We will have 200 odd regions, 500 odd guests coming to Hong Kong to embrace the unique charm of Hong Kong in the insurance business. The Insurance Authority is expected to have an income of $589.6 million, operational expenditure of $654.4 million. We will have an operating deficit. As at 31st of March 2027, we will have reserves in the $5 million mark. As we have statutory limits on levies as well as charges or fees paid by insurance companies, we will continue to have prudent finances and we will have a headcount freeze this year. Thank you. That's it for my presentation. I'll assign a 4-minute time limit. Do you have anything to add? If not, 4-minute time limit. I will read out the order in which members are going to speak. Ms. Kamen Khan, Mr. Chan Lang, Mr. Hung Kam-in, and Professor Michael Ai. First to speak, Ms. Kamen Khan.
Thank you, Chairman. The budget for 2026-27 of the IA estimate that there will be a deficit of $65 million. It seems that the income of the IA is not that stable. I think that's because of the upper limit of premium levies that is kept at $100 and $5,000. And the annual fees for insurance companies is also kept at a certain level. I wonder if the fee level is aligned with the trend of insurance policies taken out, and if there is an alignment between the levies and the market trend, then perhaps we have to adjust the fee level. I have to declare interest. The companies that I serve offer insurance service. Second, I see that there is a drop in the visit fees, but I do think that we have to promote Hong Kong as we implement the redomiciliation regime and the captive insurance and the disaster insurance products that we have. I think that we have to promote them. If you don't take trips, how can we promote the products and services that we have to offer? Thank you. Let me give you some data. If you look at the total amount of premium in 2023, that's $5.2 billion. 2023-24 is $5.4 billion. That's an increase of 4%. In 2024-25, that's $635 million. The levies has only increased by 0.4% compared to 2023-24, compared to a 4.3% increase in the premium. In 2024-25, the premium amount has increased by 15%. But because of our cap, the levies we charge cannot keep up with the increase in the premium level. That's a structural problem. In 2014, the insurance ordinance was passed by the Legislative Council, and the cap was set. However, some 10 years have passed. I do think that we have to review whether the cap is appropriate. Internally, we have conducted some study, and very soon we are going to make a proposal to the FSTB. We want to ensure sustainable development of the insurance authority while setting a fee that the policy makers can accept. There is a cap on the fees that can be charged to insurance companies as well. We are going to adjust that. On the fees we incurred for trips that we take. We are taking more trips after COVID to make up for the lost opportunities. We want to use public money more carefully. That's why the expenses have lowered. What is the mechanism for us to review the structure? Apart from reporting to the FSTB, do you have to report to the Executive Council as well? We have to amend some subsidiary legislation, and that have to be approved by the Chief Executive and Council, and we will also allow the Legislative Council to vet it. Thank you. Next, Mr. Chan Pui-lan. Thank you, Chairman. We are to discuss the budget for IA today. From 2020 to 2021, all the way to 2026-27, the IA recorded a profit for 3 years, but the rest, there were deficit. Starting from 2024-25, the budget's been the deficit has been growing. The IA explained that the problem was structural. They also said that the mechanism, well, the cap was the reason why the increase in the fees collected cannot keep up with the increase in the premium level on the market. I'd like to know more about the review that you are conducting on the levies. The policyholders will have to pay more. The licensees will have to pay more as well if you increase the levies. I hope that you will consider the interest of various parties before you increase the levy level. Second, apart from increasing revenue, I think that at the same time the IA will have to contain their expenditure. I know that you will freeze your headcount for 2026-27, but the manpower expenditures increased by 7%. You explained that 3.5% was annual pay adjustment, and some part of the cost is an annualized remuneration because of the recruitment made last year. I'd like to know what employees you recruited last year such that the costs increase is substantial at 7.5%. I know that you are spending more on artificial intelligence. I do understand the move. We want to enhance operational efficiency and save on manpower costs. We have not exhausted the 380 employee establishment of the IA. With more investment on IT, how many employees can you save on in the future? Thank you. I've answered Ms. Khan's question on the levy level. To put it simply, we will review it. I agree that we have to tread very carefully as to where we should draw the line, and we also have to look at other places. We are the only place where levy is charged. That's why we have to be careful so that people will not take out insurance elsewhere. We have to also look at the capability of our policy holders. As mentioned, we are going to talk to the government and we will table the proposal before the Legislative Council. We have frozen our headcount. The 3.5% is an annual pay adjustment. Regarding the recruitment we made last year, I will ask my colleague to supplement. The the insurance industry's been developing very well, and we have to pay more to hire people that are more capable. Thank you. The director, please. We try to be more restrained in our manpower growth. Our growth is at single digit. In 2023-24, we increased 16 posts. 2024, 3 posts. And 2025, we decided to freeze our headcount. 2023-24 to 2024-25, we have recruited people to engage in areas that we have not explored before. We have established a team of 9 on marketing. The marketing team is to promote the captive insurance companies and the insurance-linked securities that we have. We have also established a cybersecurity team of 4. These teams are working on areas that we have not covered before. And we have also explained why the remuneration of these people is higher. It's because the members of these teams come from professional background on the application of artificial intelligence. Same with other industries. We don't leverage on AI just to save manpower, but to enhance our operational efficiency. Say, take enforcement as an example. We have to look at many documents. We have to look up media reports on the internet. We can use AI to assist in textual processing, for example. On licensing as well, as we have some 120,000 intermediaries, we may leverage on artificial intelligence to process some of the licensing applications to shorten the processing time and lower the cost. Thank you. Next, Mr. Hong, come in. Thank you. I thank the IA for their presentation. After the Wangfuk Court fire, I'd like to know more about how IA coordinate with the insurance companies and the people affected, how we support the victims of the fire. Second, there are people who notice that the premium upon renewal of their insurance have increased after the Wangfuk Court fire. And I wonder if the insurance authorities look into the issue. Third, on income estimates. There is growth in certain areas. Mr. Chan Pui-leung asked about staff costs. The increase is rather substantial, $32 million. You have on average 380 employees. Annual salary is at some $1.2 million. That's rather high. Second, on engagement of professional services, there's an increase of $5.1 million. On vehicles and office setup, there is also a rise in expenditure. How can we further control our expenses? Thank you. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Hong, for the question. First, on our support work for victims of Wangfuk Court fire. After the fire broke out, I asked the director to set up an internal working group. We meet every morning to look at how we can coordinate the sector better in offering support to the victims. I will ask the director to further elaborate. Second, on the rise of premiums upon renewal of policies, that has probably happened, but I don't have the full information. The companies understandably want to diversify risk after the fire broke out, but I believe that the rise in premiums will not be that significant. Second, I've explained about the staff cost question you asked. Regarding engagement on professional services, there is a rise in the expenditure because we have to adjust our capital structure. Regarding offices, our office setup. Our office is at the southeast part of Hong Kong. Our rent is comparatively low. We have used our vehicles for a number of years. We may have to change them. Thank you.
多謝主席。
I will now ask my colleague to give more information. Thank you, Chair. We already disseminated information to the media in relation to the Wangford Court fire. I will not repeat them here. But basically, the dedicated team has achieved the intent that we want to actively reach out to those affected by the fire who are relevant policy holders so they don't have to come to us. We'll go to them. And if the relevant individuals have large claims, we try to expedite the processing of the claims with compassion. We will try to also provide support to them should they face difficulties. We'll have some premium waivers for a certain number of months. The insurance companies may even provide some financial support to them as a compassion fund, essentially. We have some captive insurers, as we said before in the media. What they are useful is that they will come in handy for high-risk claims for the main companies. We have a major disaster in Hong Kong, and we believe with this it will not affect the insurance sector significantly, but then we have some insurance companies say they may make changes to some terms in future for people trying to acquire policies. They need to implement some safety precautions so that they have some precautions against fire safety. I think you need to be brief. We're close to a 6-minute mark now. On manpower, we have often tried to learn from the practices of other regulatory bodies. We have regulatory bodies needing professionals, accountants, auditors. They have relatively high income levels. Our level of income for the professionals is comparable to those of other regulatory bodies. We will practice stringent cost control by implementing a stringent approach with the increase in establishment. Thank you. Professor Michael I. The Insurance Authority will hold a conference for the IAIS in November. You will be spending about $11 million. What is the breakdown for this? And it is expected to generate $4.8 million in income. What is the source of income exactly? Can you provide a cost-benefit analysis for the hosting of the conference? I guess it is beneficial to improving image, and how can we work with maybe, say, the tourism board to make the event more vibrant? Thank you. Thank you, Professor Ai, for mentioning this event. Every year, the IAIS will hold an annual conference. We will have approximately 500 guests coming to Hong Kong. And the expenditure we budgeted is, as the member said, $11 million. Actually, we are tight on time. We have already commenced relevant work. We have booked hotels, the convention and exhibition center, as well as booking for the halls. This budgeted expenditure is practically the actual expenditure because we have already done some such work. We also receive funding from the IARS for hosting the conference, the ballpark of $4 million. So we are paying out of our own pockets about $7 million. But as you said earlier, it will help with the image of Hong Kong. We will, however, practice stringent cost control. We will make sure also the guests will have other activities so that they can really feel the charm of Hong Kong. On the very last day of the conference, we will ask guests, or we will invite guests to stay for the Asian Insurance Forum. That should consolidate Hong Kong's status as an insurance platform of the region as well as the world. Thank you. Dr. Webster, I have 3 questions. One on the review. I would refer to the paper provided by the administration as well as the paper background brief prepared by the Secretariat. It is said because of the statutory caps, we do not have a stable income in premium levies. When will we actually conduct this review? And when will you provide the proposals for members' consideration? The INT expenses is about $41 million. It is 15% up from before. I do agree that we need to make use of AI, but the insurance system, as said, started in 1990 and is no longer applicable. So I want to ask what is the ballpark figure for the total cost and how long of a period it is supposed to be apportioned over. Also, how can we monitor the market on conduct, making use of AI to detect fraud, for example, so as to make good use of public money with the use of such technology? I also note in paragraph 6b, the budgeted expenditure is 2,888, so it is 21.5% up from before. And in paragraph 16 and 17, it talked of the background brief. It talked about how there is some uncertainty in actual expenditure and the use of legal services. Can the insurance authority provide more concrete information so that we can have a more accurate consideration of the estimates? Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. We actually review internally several times relevant proposals. We will soon submit the relevant proposals to the government, and the government should provide such to members' consideration as soon as possible. I actually want this to happen fast, probably more than you do. And this is our first priority for this year. On IT expenses, we have inherited, as you said, a very old system, the insurance system. And there were many uncertainties before. Only a small amount of investment was made. I can perhaps ask my colleague to supplement more information on this in future. And we have also for professional expenses, the member knows a lot about the trend. And in fact, we have a high budgeted cost for this, but we actually incur much less in reality. I ask my colleagues to really be prudent with the money, even though we have allotted a relatively large sum for the budgeted expense, we need to be prudent with the use of money. Thank you. I will now ask my colleague to give more information. Yes, Mr. Clement Cheng. Thank you. In fact, we have a committee that will have us budget for professional services, because for some litigation we don't know how much cost we would actually incur. And in fact, Mr. Chan Chen-ying, the Legislative member, taught us to change our approach to budgeting so that people won't think we will increase our budget exponentially. So we have revised our budget so that we will have a figure that is much more aligned with the actual figure. There is still some uncertainty, but we are now able to provide a more accurate assessment. This is also facilitating better planning, and this is what Mr. Chan Chen-ying asked us to do, because this is important in budgeting. We have now suspended the operations of the insurance system, and in fact, a new system has not been developed since then. Until 2017, we launched the system project again. And in fact, in 2024, we have a new regulatory approach by practicing risk-based capital regime. So we really need to have a different regulatory framework, and by extension, a new system. And in the interim, we have a bit of transition to undergo. We also have some new initiatives on investigation and smart and prudent control. I want to let Mr. Ryan Chu give more information because he is specifically responsible for this project. Thank you. We are at the 6-minute mark. Please be brief. We will introduce some new functions such as some data analysis functions. And if we make use of AI in future, we want to incorporate AI in the system to enhance efficiency. Thank you. We have 3 other members who have pressed the request to speak button. After the 3 members have spoken, I will draw the line. Mr. Alan Chan. I have a comment and some questions. The comment is the insurance authority has really helped Hong Kong enhance its status as an international financial center. We have attracted 2 captive insurers to list in Hong Kong, promoting the issuance of catastrophe bonds. We have also some insurance groups redomiciling to Hong Kong. I want to praise their efforts. I have a question. Hong Kong is the 3rd largest international financial center, and the 2nd biggest one is in London. For the reinsurance market, we have marine insurance, and our shipbuilding industry, our country's shipbuilding industry has 72% of the market share. So we have really great opportunities to tap into. How can we have more companies and their subsidiaries in the relevant areas to come to Hong Kong to make the market bigger? Also, in London, can we have in the country some sort of a network to have mainland insurers come to Hong Kong to list or set up regional headquarters in Hong Kong? As we see an economic transformation, the mainland and Hong Kong companies are trying to go global. Does the insurance authority have any export credit support for the companies? How can we really promote Hong Kong to become the regional risk management center? Like eMPF, we have many policies. Can we have something like the eMPF where we can have a platform to show what an individual has purchased in insurance policies, so that in case some family members have encountered some accidents, their loved ones can really find out what insurance policies they have? Thank you.
Chairman Yu, please. Thank you. As for the fire insurance market you talked about, I'm very much concerned about the incident. 30 years ago, I went to the Lloyd's to look at their operation. It's very difficult for us to replicate their model. It's not that we don't do it because it's difficult, but there are many other factors to look into. You talked about infrastructures. We have to reform our sector. We want to encourage investment in infrastructures. A risk fund has been established for the marine insurance. As such, our country on vessel building is the leader in the world. It should be supported by the insurance company. IA is also promoting general insurance because it accounts for about 10 to 15% in our overall market compared to the life insurance. We want to promote this product. The CEO and I have been working on it. On export credit, we will look into it. Regarding your proposal of e-insurance, your suggestion was great, but there are two things that we have to consider. First, we have to spend much on establishing a brand new platform. eMPF platform has incurred a huge sum of investment, so it's not on our agenda yet. And I foresee challenges from the practitioners. If we enhance transparency, it will undermine competition. Mr. Holden Chow, thank you. Thank you, Chairman. I thank the IA for coming to brief us on their budget. I'd like to ask about P&I clubs. We have 11 registered P&I clubs on marine insurance. All these 11 P&I clubs are well-renowned companies. The market share of London in marine insurance is still leading. I believe that a study was conducted on the vessels registered under the Hong Kong flag. The amount is substantial, but our market share in marine insurance is still rather low, standing at about a single-digit percentage. The management of the IA is explained that they are working on it. I'd like to know if there is any room for us to further develop this market. We want to develop ourselves into a high value added marine industries. I think that marine insurance is something that we can further promote. We have already 11 P&I clubs registered in Hong Kong. Can we encourage them to take out marine insurance in Hong Kong so that we can expand our market share? I think the problems lie with promotion and development. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chow, for the question. It's true that we have 11 P&I clubs in Hong Kong. The registration took place very recently. I know that there are 14 altogether in the world. The rest of the 3 P&I clubs come from Japan and the US. So all in all, those who can come have come. Second, there are 2 areas to doing a business. First, business. Second, talents. We need talents with suitable background for P&I clubs. We used to be very strong before the unification on our marine industries. However, after that, we didn't focus on our marine industry. That's why we have lost many talents on this industry. So I think that we have to encourage P&I clubs to take out marine industries in Hong Kong. Mr. Champulan will have to declare interest. Thank you. The unit I serve is in the insurance business. Thank you. Let me make a summary of the questions put by the members. The budget of the IA is independent from the government because of the cap of $105,000 of levy. That's why the IA cannot capture the growth of the insurance market or industry. But I hope that when the IA roll out fee proposals and updates, they have to take into account the competitiveness of our market and the cost of our companies, our insurance companies. We want to have our insurance company stay in Hong Kong. That's why I hope that the insurance authority will conduct a comprehensive consultation before they increase any levy. Thank you. Thank you, IA, for coming today. Now we move on to agenda item number 5, budget of the Accounting and Financial Reporting Council, AFRC, for the financial year of 2026-27. Would the government officials please come in? Thank you. I will have to extend the meeting by 15 minutes first. Welcome from the colleagues from the FSTB and representatives from the AFRC. Let's first hear from the chairman of the AFRC, Dr. David Sun. As we have limited time, please be brief. Dr. Sun, over to you. Thank you, Chairman. Members, good morning. I'm grateful that I have this opportunity to report to the Legislative Council the main features of our budget and the key areas of our work along with our way forward. The Accounting and Financial Reporting Council, AFRC, is a full-fledged independent regulator of the accounting profession. There are three regulatory goals that we have. First, we have to uphold accounting standards. Second, we have to enhance the recognition of the accounting profession. And third, protect public interest. We want to instill in the market the confidence in our accounting profession. We're not trying to penalize the sector. We want to guard against risk and enhance confidence. So as a regulator, we strike a balance among market development, regulation, and monitoring. We want to guard against irregularities and promote the development of the market. Given limited resources, we want to focus on high-risk cases. We are going to streamline our procedures by leveraging artificial intelligence. We will also enhance enforcement efficiency so that our regulatory work is of quality and is efficient. Our regulatory work come in 4 different areas. First, guarding against irregularities and taking enforcement action. We want to make sure that the directors of the professions are fit and proper persons. We want to lower the risk at source. Over the past 1 year, we have completed many reviews. We have extended licenses of public auditors of 60 companies. We have also approved some 4,000 applications for practicing certificates and many individual practicing certificates. We want to make sure that the auditing profession is up to standard. We want to uphold the compliance level. We have checked 66 practicing units. We have reviewed the compliance standards and auditing work. We have started investigations into irregularities to guard against any impact caused to the market. We have completed 36 investigations. We take enforcement actions strictly. We have made deterrent effect in sending a message to the market against 11 non-compliance cases. We have handed out disciplinary penalties. This is to send a clear message to the market that we are upholding the the quality of our professions. In the coming year, we'll focus on 5 different areas. First, we will step up monitoring of high-risk auditing cases. Second, we will promote a sustainable certification and reporting. Third, we will establish AI application standards for SMEs to apply technology responsibly. Fourth, on AI, virtual access, sustainable development, and cross-boundary business, we are going to organize a regional forum to assist the sector in developing. We want to enhance our internal capability. Fifth, without affecting our role as a regulator, we want to retain talents. So we will increase 15 headcounts. That's why the staff cost in 2026-27 will increase by 7% compared to last year. It amount to some $370 million. Our council works very closely with other regulators, the government, and the profession. By regulating the profession, we want to uphold people's confidence in our financial market. The CEO and I will listen closely to members' questions and comments. Thank you.
就係咁。
Thank you, Dr. Davidson. I'll now open the floor to members for questions. I'll assign a 3-minute time limit. Let me read out the order in which members are going to speak. Professor Michael I, Mr. Chen Chen-ying, Ms. Carmen Khan, Dr. Webster Mr. Hong Kam-in, Mr. Holden Chow, and Mr. Alan Chen. Professor Michael I. Thank you, Chair. Consider Hong Kong's IPO market has had a great performance last year. Did the Council assess what benefits the increased levy has brought about? We have also seen more mainland enterprises and overseas enterprises listing in Hong Kong. In future, in response to changes in market structure, we will make changes to the levy mechanism. Also, in the budget, do you have plans in manpower and otherwise to cater for the enhanced services and functions? Thank you. Thank you, member, for your questions. We will charge a levy, as the member said, for securities market transactions. We will levy a charge of 0.00015%. It's not a lot, but we will review this from time to time. We will also charge the companies who are listing. So as the member said, as we have more companies list, in fact, the Hong Kong Exchange said we have 400 companies waiting to list. So that is a good thing, but then it is not that much of a significant increase in our estimates. We do welcome enterprises coming to Hong Kong to list, and we actually share information with the mainland so that accountancy firms deploying accountants to Hong Kong from the mainland will have some visa facilitation arrangements. Third, on manpower, we have tight manpower, and in the past year, even with this manpower gap, we have been able to do good work because we make good use of technology. We have also expedited the use of technology in different areas of work. With that in mind, we still need 15 more staff members to tackle the workload. We are a new regulatory body. We are only in operation for 3 or 4 years. We do need more people to help with our regulatory and development work. Thank you. Mr. Chen Chen-ying. Thank you, Chair. I understand the work of the AFRC is very important, but you have limited resources. I want to ask specifically about resource allocation. The office-related expenses is $26 million. It's quite a high amount, even in your estimates. And your rental agreement will expire in April next year. If you don't discuss renewal early on, you may see a significant increase in rents. So I want to ask if you have started discussions on this. The budget for legal and professional services will be increased from $16 million to $35 million. It is almost double the original figure. You said it's because of litigation, which I understand, but this is not a small sum. Would you consider hiring more in-house lawyers so that you don't have to spend the additional expense on outsourcing? I understand your goal in future is to operate on a self-financing basis. but right now you still don't have much in reserves. You are looking to diversify your sources of income. Can you share with us what you have in mind to develop more sources of income? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chan, for your questions. Indeed, rentals account for a high ratio in our costs. Right now, for commercial premises, we do not expect to see a significant increase in rentals, but then we do remain prudent and we keep an open mind to different solutions. We do not have a concrete proposal just yet, but we pay attention to market changes and we will initiate discussions early on with the owner of the premises. As for the issue of legal cost, we have seen in previous years many cases being in the stage of investigation. Now we're at the stage of having disciplinary offenses handed out, and these would involve lawyers and legal procedures, which is why we increased the budget for the relevant expenses. As for whether we should hire in-house lawyers, most of those in the discipline division are lawyers, so they are quite aware of the specific legal matters, but then when there is litigation, they need to hire externally legal consultants or other lawyers. Thirdly, on the field funding, we are discussing with the government and see how much of an increase there can be. Thank you. Ms. Kamen Khan, thank you for the paragraphs 5 to 7 in the paper, the 2026 budgeted income and expenses. I have some observations. I believe it was said in note number 5, your accounts will be balanced either way because you would allocate funds if you have a deficit from grant income of the government. You have obtained $600 million in 2 injections, and you will have soon a lower unspent balance. In paragraph 17, it talks about how the government will consider several factors. We need to really make sure the AFRC has a sustainable financial model. The AFRC will discuss this with the Bureau, but what are the views of the Bureau in the first place? We have, for different regulatory bodies, different funding, different amount of funds granted. We only have $600 million for the AFRC, so I want to ask what is the overall strategy of the government. For cybersecurity, it is $34 million. Is it much higher than you expected? Thank you. Deputy Secretary, we are discussing with the AFRC different proposals for a long-term financial model. Basically, we adopt a user's pay principle, and the AFRC has really done well in saving costs in previous years. We will look into different income models. We will consider the actual market circumstances and the affordability of the accountancy sector to seek for fiscal balance. In fact, in paragraph 11, We talked about how the AFRC has in its reserves on as at 31st of March 2027 $281 million. We will, as I said earlier, continue to review with the AFRC the long-term financial model. I'll perhaps ask my AFRC colleagues to talk about manpower and other related issues. Who's going to answer the question? Thank you, Ms. Lai. Thank you, Chair. For the 15 new staff members, they are there because we need maintenance work done after the construction of data center. We also need to have more people work on compliance and IT in general. Thank you. I have a short follow-up, Chair. You adopt a user's pay principle. Either you increase the levy or you need to work with the public interest entities. I think they should really publicize their specific proposals in due course. Thank you, Dr. Webster. First, I would like to declare I am a practicing accountant and my 2 accounting firms are regulated by the AFRC. We have other members ask about the long-term financial model. We do have, as at 31st of March 2027, reserves standing at $281 million. If the government does not provide further funding, the financial position of the AFRC may be dire. So I want to ask if the government would make sure in transition the AFRCs won't be affected by any shortage in funding. The income of the AFRC is quite reliant on the securities market. We have a good market last year, but how can we make sure the income source is resilient so that we have more diversified income sources and a more stable income? Some other members mentioned the legal cost. The cost is now at $34 million. Will the administration set some KPIs to monitor the regulatory efficiency? On the 15 additional positions, it is for regulation, for example, for stable coins. I do agree with the direction taken, but those in the trade noted that for the audits of some operations, we would have quite a number of officers from the AFRC conducting the audits. Is it possible for the Bureau to have better resource allocation so that we don't need as many officers deployed for each audit? Thank you. I will extend the meeting by another 15 minutes. Who's going to answer the question? I will ask my colleague to answer relevant questions. All right, Deputy Secretary. As I said earlier, we adopt a user's pay principle and we try to strive for a balance in income and expenses. We do have different sources of revenue in mind. Once we have concrete proposals upon consulting the trade, we will brief members on the relevant proposals. The manpower question, who is going to answer this? I will ask Ms. Janie Lai to answer the relevant question. Thank you. After we reviewed the data governance standards last year, we are implementing measures to make sure our data security measures are compliant. We also need to provide continuous support to the data center infrastructure. We need to make good use on our platform, AI, and smart systems. Internally, we have also upgraded our case management system because we're dealing with more cases than ever before. So this is an important part of our budget, the IT stuff. We are also building an internal database to share data among departments of the council. We do have in mind international standards in relevant operations. Next, Mr. Hong Kamin.
Thank you. I thank Dr. Sun for the presentation. On the 13th of February 2026, the AFRC published an open letter asking the PIE auditors to uphold auditing standards and integrity. I think that this is a very good move to uphold our reputation as an international financial center. I'd like to know why the AFRC published the letter, and I wonder if the administration will take any further action. Second, on the expenditure and income of AFRC. The AFRC says that they will adopt a user's pay approach, and I hope that it can become independent of the government as soon as possible. However, some $140 million come from the government, accounting to some 26.2%. On staff costs, there will be $260 million spent. So each employee enjoy a remuneration of some $1 million. I wonder if we can further compress the staff costs of AFRC. Thank you. Dr. Sun. Thank you, Mr. Hong, for the comment and question. Well, IPO activities are very vibrant, and we have been talking to the trade to look into their manpower pressure. Accounting firms are very professional, mostly. However, many IPO activities have to do with mainland companies, and we hope that the accounting firms will uphold their accounting and auditing standards. And that's why we published the guidelines to remind the sector that they have to pay attention to the areas that I mentioned. We're not just talking about Category A accountants. We also like to remind our small and medium auditors to pay attention to their manpower allocation. Second, we have frozen the remuneration of our employees. The salary level of our employees has not changed much compared to last year because we have frozen our budget on staff costs. So we are spending within our limits, and we have contained the growth of our staff cost. Thank you. Next, Mr. Holden Chow. Thank you, Chairman. I thank Dr. Sun for coming to report to us on the work of the AFRC. I have one question. I remember we discussed about the establishment, manpower deployment of AFRC in the last year, in the last term of the Legislative Council. The sector hopes that the AFRC will, while playing their regulatory role, develop the sector. In other words, the sector wants the AFRC to strike a balance. it is said in the paper that AFRC will explore growth opportunities for the profession. The headcount will increase from 145 to 160. The AFRC just explains that they hire people to cater to emerging sectors and to apply IT in their operation. So apart from regulating the industry, I wonder how AFRC deploy their manpower to explore growth areas for the profession. It's important for us to monitor and regulate the sector. But I think that the AFRC will have to also address the difficulties faced by the profession. In the paper, you illustrate how many auditors, registered or practicing accountants we have in Hong Kong. I wonder how the AFRC will promote the development of the industry. Are we having more new blood joining the accounting profession? And I wonder what work the AFRC has done on this area. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chow, for the question. Over the past year, we've worked on manpower and development of the sector. We have organized seminars with the trade. Hong Kong ICPA is a partner of ours. We work very closely with them. We organize seminars to promote the trade. On AI, digital assets, well, these are new growth areas and new technology that we can adopt. We're looking into them, and hopefully we can develop a guidelines for the sector. At the same time, we want the trade to go digital. For large accounting firms and practice units, they're already adopting technology. However, many small accounting firms are lagging behind. That's why we have published many videos lasting a few minutes in the past year covering different types of technology and guidelines for small and medium accounting firms. Hopefully, these accounting firms can make use of the videos we published to train their employees. The member also asked about how attractive the accounting profession is to the young people. This is the area that we have to dedicate our resources into. We want to enhance the attractiveness of the accounting profession. Thank you. Next, Mr. Alan Chan. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Dr. Sun, for attending the meeting of the panel on financial affairs. I have to declare interest. I am an accountant. I'm not a practicing one. I'm not regulated by the AFRC. It seems that the AFRC is replacing part of the duties of the Hong Kong ICPA. That is their However, given the less responsibilities of the Hong Kong ICPA, their annual fees charged to the accountants has not been lowered. That's my first question. Second, there's a problem with the AFRC. The PwC published a false accounting report. Although the false accounting report was published in the mainland, but the real estate company was listed in Hong Kong. We have 100 companies listed in Hong Kong last year. This year, about 300 companies. We have not decided on a threshold of $1 billion. We don't have enough manpower to cater to the demand. Many accountants can only get off work at 2 a.m. Clients want to control their expenditure, and that undermines their due diligence efforts. If you spend too much time on due diligence, your boss would scold you. Some accounting firms focus on attracting clients despite problematic accounting documents. And sometimes they resign after 3 years because they are only held liable for that period of time. Thank you. We are working very closely with the Hong Kong ICPA because they are still responsible for offering examination, the sustainable development of their members, and deciding on the accounting standards. These are the very important functions of the Hong Kong ICPA. We meet with the committees of the Hong Kong ICPA regularly to know more about their work. The fees they charged is decided by their board of directors. We will relay to them the members and the public's views on their fee level. You talked about Evergreen. That's Evergrande. We have opened a case on them, and we are still investigating into the case. Third, because of the fierce competition in the market, we see adverse competition in the market. Some accounting firms charge low fees and switch their auditors all the time to circumvent regulation in order to attract more clients. For accounting firms that change their auditors too frequently, we look into their situation and ask about their situation, and we remind them that they have to be very careful in their practices. Accountants are professionals. We hope that they uphold the professional standards and their integrity. Thank you. I hope that Dr. Sun will publish the report as soon as possible, because otherwise it will undermine companies' confidence in Hong Kong. Lastly, I have some comments. No reply is needed because of the time constraint. I think that the authorities, the council has heard this suggestion many times. If we can levy on each securities transaction, then that will undermine the development of the securities market, because the market is just rebounding. I don't think that we should levy on the transaction. Last time, a levy was put in place together with the stock stamp duty, and that affected the market. I have to declare interest. I serve a securities company. So I hope that the council will be more prudent and careful before they raise any levy. Thank you. That's my comment. I thank the council for attending this meeting. Last item. Item 7. Any other business? There being no other business, meeting adjourned. Thank you.